Hello? Hi. Finally. Nataka nianze kuonga mdani. My Lord. Mjuni, karibu.
Is it morning? Afternoon. Good afternoon, people. I would like to mention two best tweeting guys. And we also thank you to everybody who has been tweeting since yesterday. We are on number 2nd trending in East Africa.
Woo!
So thank you everybody who has been tweeting, retweeting, and liking and commenting. So I would like to call upon two best people who have been tweeting the most. I'll start with the lady.
Ladies first.
Juliet Seba. Juliet? I think she's not in the loop. So the gentleman is Edgar Mapinge. Is Edgar here?
Did we go back with the gifts?
We can take them for you.
Yeah.
I can.
I can take for Juliet.
And I can take for the other guy, Edgar.
So
You know what I
guys, the gifts are still there. We have a lot of gifts. Continue tweeting, continue liking, continue retweet. And then in the afternoon, later in the afternoon, we'll mention another one. Thank you.
Thank you, Mjuni. And whenever Edgar and Julie gets in here, please tell them they have the gifts and they can collect them anytime from now.
So we're about to start our next session. I think a lot of us are ready, able, and prepared. Are we good? We're about to go into a very heavy discussion of something very important. Now, a lot of us, if you've ever worked in a startup or if you're thinking about going into a startup, there's a difference between a small organization and a big organization. The big organizations, they have the big voices. Yani when they go to a client, an investor, a sponsor, they don't even have to talk that much. They look at them, they see money, they see potential, viability, and everything else. And they get the mullah. Sometimes it's not even that hard. But what about me, an average guy? I go to a sponsor, an investor, and they look at me and say, sauti yenyewe inashuka. My voice just goes down. I'm sorry, I need money. I need this. So there's a very important role that private sectors that they provide when it comes to startups. But how do we make them agree to what we have? How do we make them realize that we got potentials as much as the other companies do or have? So we have a couple of people. We have a very interesting speaker who's going to come up on stage to share with us some of the good things today. So first of all, we're going to start with the fire chat discussion. And today we have the man himself, Mr. Mrusha Jumanne Mtambalike, Karibu. And the other person is Mr. Jones Mrusha. Mr. Jones.
So while these two gentlemen are coming up, we'd like to also recognize the presence of the ambassador of Switzerland to East Africa community. Welcome, Ambassador Arthur Matley. Please let's give him a round of applause.
Welcome.
I think I should welcome him too. Welcome, sir. As the reason I have to welcome him twice is because Swiss Embassy were the first people to buy in the idea of Sahara Sparks. Could we clap for them? And not only last year, but again, they're on board with us this year. Could we clap again? Thank you so much, sir, for your support. So the context of our discussion here is very simple. The telcos are doing really good in Tanzania. Okay. Some might beg to differ with the Magufuli regime. But what I know is that the telcos are doing good, the banks are doing good. We have a lot of banks. We have a lot of mobile network operators, and they are part of our ecosystem. We all agree they are part of our ecosystem. And these guys are the ones who are adding a lot of value in our ecosystem. I don't think we could be discussing anything here about technology, communication, all those kind of stuffs without the existence of mobile network operators. They are the guys who are connecting us. And the banks are the ones who are making us to be digitally and financially included. So I have a lot of amazing speakers today, and I'm about to squeeze them to the end to tell me why they are not working with our local startups. So we're going to have a very interesting discussion. But I want to share a report from GSMA, something they published, I think, early this year or sometime at the end of last year. So before I start, there are some cool pictures from yesterday I wanted you to see. The first one is this. This is a very cool picture. And this was the other one. It's good for branding. You took that. Amazing. And I've just been called by Guinness that we have won the global largest groupie. Because it was a groupie of more than 200 people. It's not a selfie. So, as much I was very happy to recognize the existence of the Swiss ambassador to East Africa, Honorable Matuli. But we are supposed to celebrate our heroes. So, nafurahi pia tukiwa na kaka Edwin Bruno. Forbes started at 30. Sante sana, brother. The reason I'm doing this, I know the average age umndani ni chini ya miaka 30. So I just wanted you guys to be more inspired. Kijana mwenzenu, Tanzania, a chips mayai guy, as Mrusha used to say. Muona kazaliwa hapa, he hustled, he built something, and right now he runs a company which employs other Tanzanian and is doing good. Kwa pamoja, say we can do it. The aim is to inspire you guys as part of this event. So this was a report which was launched by GSMA, APIs, a bridge between mobile operators and startups in emerging market. And as you know, Tanzania is among the emerging markets. And we are doing really good. I don't mean to get in a conflict with my brothers from Kenya, Bernard, Richard, they are all here, Shayla and others. But I heard a rumor that we are leapfrogging Kenya in mobile money adoption. That's a rumor I heard. So Jones will tell me if I'm right or not. Wow, it's kind of a bit unclear. But the aim of this slide was to show the mobile phone services adoption globally. And if you look at the broadband, the smartphone adoption is still very low in Africa, but are doing purely fair on USSD and other technologies. You could read, this is a report, is available online. The visuals might not be very clear, but GSMA put it and anyone can access it. So, mobile operators doing really good with launching APIs. There are so many APIs. Okay, now let me start to speak in English. API stands for Application Programmers Interface. It's some sort of a technology which allow electronic business owners to integrate their services with a larger platform to make it easier for them to access those services. Let me speak in an English which you can understand. Again. Kwa hiyo sasa, Kiswahili sasa twende. Kama una kampuni yako inatoa huduma za kuuza bidhaa labda mtandaoni, lakini changamoto yako kubwa ni watu kulipia hizo bidhaa, unataka walipie kwa let's say M-Pesa, Tigo Pesa, ni kazi sana kama haujapewa API ya kuunganisha biashara yako na huduma zao. Mmenielewa? So, sorry for those who can speak Kiswahili. It's spoken in 7 countries now. You should learn. So, the aim here is to discuss, we are seeing movement like this. We are seeing movement like this. At least mobile network operators saw a need of releasing their APIs to small businesses so that they can be part of the value chain, so that they can be able to transact and include more people in their business processes. So here comes my discussion with Mrusha. I will allow him first to introduce himself, and then we can start to have a conversation. Mrusha, you can come at the center. And it's okay if we can stand. I hate sitting because it makes people be political.
For the respective ambassador, because from sitting there I couldn't see him, so yeah, I'll stand. Good noon, guys. What was the pump up word? Hello. Hello. Hi. You guys are still sleepy. I guess the tea was where it was supposed to be. So yeah, my name is John Mrusha, as Jumanne introduced me. At the moment, I work in between startups and corporates, trying to build synergies when it comes to open innovation. The biggest obstacle that we had from startups and developers was access. I don't know what that exactly means. Everybody defines it separately. And then also, if you talk to corporates, they will tell you they don't have a room to accommodate every request that comes in from individual developers or startups for various reasons, some of which includes copyrights. I might be working on ideas internally, but when they get pitched and startups are told that, you know, it's something that we're already working on, they feel like the ideas have been stolen. So slowly we're setting up what we call innovation board, where we have some insight of what's happening inside corporates, specifically in Tanzania, but at the same time, what Bernard was saying before from Strathmore, but it's still here. By the way, we went to the same school. Is we think we have won trust from startups that they feel comfortable, at least giving us a hint on what we're working on. So basically, that's what I do day to day. My previous life has been with the startups, world major banks, and worked with all three operators that are operating now in Tanzania. And students, I start up an innovation space, try to build up communities, so all together in one. That settles the introduction? Have I missed anything? Good.
So tell us a bit about this open API movement, and what does it mean to startups?
Okay. Are you specifically referring to the GSMA project, or in general?
In general.
Okay, so open API, I don't want to bore you with the definitions, but it means if you would have two machines talking to each other, that process, that connection shouldn't be as hard as some of us during our days used to struggle to get in, right? So accessibility is key, well documented, use the technology that is up to the minute, right? In terms of security, in terms of connectivity, these demands we have on VPNs before you connect and all that stuff. I would love to hint, I should have known that you're going to bring up GSMA that are also, in a way, my clients. So they have this mobile money open API harmonization. So what they do previously, what you used to have is, take Tanzania case, since that's the biggest audience we have here. If you were to connect with, let's say, Vodacom M-Pesa, Tigo Pesa, Airtel Money, with every one of those MMOs, mobile money operators, you will need to develop in the language that they speak. You need to separately connect. And in terms of what it means, cost, time, it was ridiculous. A startup wouldn't be able. Hence, it gave a room for system aggregators and integrators to emerge. But then that add cost to the startup, right? So if I don't connect directly to the MMO, I'm using the aggregator. It means another shilling on top. Eventually, I'm going to pass that cost to the customer. So generally, the adoptions into mobile money for merchants and online payments was low. So what GSMA decided to do is, what if we can build one standard that as long as you finalize your commercial terms and your infrastructure in terms of connectivity, the actual language that you speak to each other is uniform. Does that make sense? Sorry, I don't get reactions, so I'm not so sure if, yeah? So what it means is, if you have finalize the commercials with Vodacom, you don't have to develop a new language to speak with Tigo Pesa or Airtel Money, right? The same interface you have with M-Pesa G2, you can talk to other operators. But this is not only in Tanzania context. If today we need to start thinking big, we're saying let's think Africa, let's think global. If there are operators in Nigeria, Liberia, you name it, in Asia, in Latin America, that have adapted the API, they've been harmonized, you would connect the same. So you would sell from Tanzania carvings, I don't know, paintings that our brothers and uncles do, and you should be able to receive mobile money as is in, let's say, Jamaica with Digcel.
Okay, so we have been seeing the trend. I remember we had this discussion 3 or 4 years ago at Buni during Mobile Monday about Tanzania moving toward cashless economy. And one of the biggest issues was mobile network operators are not ready to release their APIs so that we can be able to integrate and innovate and play around with their platforms. And right now, the APIs are open on public. Wait. They are open on public, and it's becoming a trend. You can access for Tigo Tanzania, Vodacom Tanzania. We were there together when they were launching Vodacom API at IAT. And even Airtel, you can access some of the APIs. So this trend of releasing APIs for local developers and electronic business owners, what does it mean to the Tanzanian innovators, especially who are doing electronic businesses?
So it means accessibility, but there's a certain degree, my wish, my dream, what I strive for, if we ever had one-to-one conversation, my dream would be for a University of Dar es Salaam or DIT students, if they have to receive payments, I don't know, for whatever reason electronically, it shouldn't be as hard as it is now, even though Jumanne declares the APIs are open. For various factors. So let's take G2, that we did a lot of feedback meetings before it was even launched. We sat with Huawei.
What is G2? We are speaking
Generation
wind.
2. So M-Pesa as it was before, they realized a lot of development that could be done, and then they went ahead and released Vodafone's G2. So that's the engine that runs payments on the back end. Now, before they do that, they had a number of sessions, including getting guys to sit down with a Huawei in China and all that stuff. And few of the requests from developers community was where the technology should be. And this was like 2014, 2013, right? When they're gathering the requirement, when they're putting together the BRD. Shocking, come 2016, again, I'm trying to answer the question of accessibility. Are they actually available and open? The APIs comes out, and then they release SOAP. How many developers we have in the house? Put your hands up.
Developers.
Developers, right? So, still put your hands up. If you would prefer to work with SOAP or REST, the guys that would prefer to work with SOAP, please still put your hands up. There you go, no single hand in the room, right? So that goes to prove saying, yes, if you need to have a checklist filling government papers, fine, the APIs are open and available, but are they little accessible? It's 2016, why do they have to do SOAP? And that cut across to the rest of the guys. Sorry, I'm mentioning M-Pesa because, you know, they are one of our biggest.
Let's wind this up. So these guys have released their APIs, but we are having issues integrating them to our businesses. What is your advice to the mobile network operators? What should they do? Instead of just releasing the APIs, what next? What should they do better?
So my call, if there are operators in here, is to...
We are recording you. We have a video on YouTube.
No, they've heard this story a number of times before. Sitoyo and the rest of the guys will tell you. My ask is, let's just not talk about embracing open innovation. Let's do it. There might be...
Guys, you should clap. Can you repeat that part?
So let's not just talk about open innovation. We should actually embrace it, like little start doing it. If you go into all these pitch meetings with your stupid jeans and t-shirt, they look at you, they're the smartest people in the room there. But to be honest, some of the challenges they're facing, a team from university could easily solve it. So remember we were speaking in the beginning, when we say open innovation, it means you don't have to solve each and every problem yourself. You could actually license, you could actually partner with other people that are working toward this common solution and use the technology. So if you ask what's my ask at the moment, that would be it.
Thank you so much, Mrusha. So, please have a seat. That was heavy. So just in case we were speaking wind, meaning that you were not understanding us, now you're going to understand us. It's going to be very simple. No stories about APIs, integration, G2, and all those kind of stuff, because I just realized there are very few developers inside here. But I'm very sure there's a lot of electronic business owners, and you needed to hear this, because the only way you're going to be able to reach out to the market outside Dar es Salaam and rural areas is by being able to transact using mobile money on your digital platform. And if you're not able to integrate your system with mobile money, then it's very difficult to say you are reaching the market you're trying to reach. That's the reason we had this conversation. Could we clap for Mrusha, please? So, less technical now, less technical. I would like to call on stage some of the other panelists. Please, Edwin, come on stage. Eric, come on stage. Andrew, come on stage. So I was just making sure I haven't forgot anyone, because some people flew in to speak in this event. I don't want to refund the ticket. Okay, so now the discussion is going less technical. First of all, please introduce yourself, gentlemen, except Mrusha, who has already done that.
Hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Eric Luyangi. I work for Commercial Bank of Africa. My specialization is providing financial services for the underbanked and unbanked.
Hi everyone, my name is Edwin Bruno. I'm a CEO at SmartCode. So SmartCode, we are a technology company, but also we do marketing.
Hello, my name is Andrew Frania. I'm with Startup Boat Foundation out of Germany. I'm the regional director for East Africa, and we have our online incubation program and accelerator, as well as investing into startups.
An exciting panel. So we have the ecosystem players who are building the capacities of the startup. We have a guy who ran the startup from the scratch to where it is right now. We have two guys from the corporate sector who are working with the ecosystem. So I will start with Eric. CBA, what is your experience working with the Tanzanian startups?
So far, we haven't actually really integrated too much with the startups. As we, as a CBA, we have one of our DNA is we have a startup kind of like a culture. Like from what we've done so far, we've been the first ones in the market to introduce some of the very interesting products. For example, the mobile savings and loans, Empower product in the market. So we already have that, the spine of a startup that is actually running within the bank. We also have one of the other most interesting uh, product that's coming up. We already have launched it in a different market, and then we'll bring it up in Tanzania as well. So, but we also work with smart codes here. So one of the beauty of working with the startups is that we can venture into areas that where we would never actually normally would actually walk into, and these are it's like our guide towards that a different aspect of our business. So from a bank perspective, we are very risk oriented. We always look at what is the risk, where is the risk. Now, if we work with a startup, they actually kind of like guide us into showing us where the risks are and where are the opportunities that we can actually venture into. And then we would take our financial acumen, and then with the entrepreneurial spirit, like what Smart Codes, what we have done, I think they've helped us to build up one of the most successful promotion in Tanzania, and now we're working with them to actually bring the same sort of like spirit into other markets as well. So we're working on a project in Uganda. So that actually gives us a trust. So now we are, as a bank, at least for CBA, we have that DNA of entrepreneurship. So we realize that we can actually utilize this and use this same entrepreneurship DNA that the startup can bring up to actually, get us into some areas that we would not normally go in.
Okay, this one goes to Edwin. So we have seen the trend.
Yes.
I'm very happy that Engineer George Muramula is here. Please, could you wave, Engineer? Tigo backup. Now Twende with Tigo, Vodacom, M-Pesa. I can keep mentioning them. Some of young Tanzanians who have managed, and it's not easy. I've been working with Tanzanian startups to penetrate in the corporate world and get them to sign agreement to work with them. Do you know how difficult is that? Could you clap for these guys who have been managed to do that? So, you're having Vodacom M-Pesa. Could you share your experience with us? How was it? So that some other young business owners here who want to work with the corporate sector can understand what it takes to do that.
First of all, I would like to thank and recognize Mr. Mulamula and Dr. Mshinda, because without them, Smart Code and even all our organization wasn't being here. So for them, they buy our idea in terms of like we can do something, and then they give us a space to try our ideas. So it's not even being given a space or to do something. It's about when you've been given a chance, that means you need to utilize and make sure you deliver, not to them, but even to your dreams. Okay, so we started as a startup and get incubated at DTBI, but of course we had a big focus in terms of not focusing so much in terms of pitching to this kind of events or something like that, but looking on how are we going to solve our current local problems. And since we was focusing too much into digital, and our core business is the digital marketing, but as well as the innovation, trying to look at the local problem and how are we going to convert that into business. So while we are working with different companies, we have seen them struggling in terms, especially these guys who are sitting as marketing managers, the PR managers, at which every morning they have to grab all the newspaper to see like, have I been mentioned into a certain magazine? Is it positive? Is it negative? So I go, okay, so what if these guys, before even they walk up to come to their workspace, they could have all this newspaper on their hand, or maybe on their laptop. And then we did the research and even found like, even most of the people, they actually listen to the radio early morning to understand what's happening to the newspaper. But again, most of the people, they don't like to read newspaper because maybe due to the, let's say, WhatsApp groups and things like those, you already know and understand what's happening in the next day. So we come up, in terms of looking to all the publisher, trying to give them the idea. And of course, let's say if they're selling their newspaper by 1,000 and say like, we are going to sell your newspaper by half the price, it was a battle, but since we have the data, they buy it. And of course, for the digital, again, you need to have numbers. So of course, to cut story short, at the end of the day, we partner with all the newspapers in Tanzania and trying to put the newspaper on the mobile phone.
Sorry. What gave you the leveraging power for Vodacom to be ready to work with you? Or is that a secret or something?
No.
Okay, so please tell us.
Okay, so after we launched the application with our own, with our own team and everything, and then when we reach about 10,000 downloads, again, it's about starting something, not going to pitch the idea, having something tangible. So when we reach about 10,000 downloads, all the telco, of course, they see like, most of the people, they now have to download the newspaper through their mobile phone. That means that they can use data. Not only data, you have to buy through mobile money. So they have seen how we are driven the data and the airtime and things like those. So for us also, we was looking, to work with one telco at which they can fuel it, the program. So we did the research, of course, in terms of looking at our dashboard, we see like Vodacom could be the best fit because they're the one, of course, targeting more of the corporates. They're the one, in terms of corporate, that means at least that someone can read, the newspaper. Again, according to the data which we have, it was easier for them to buy in. And of course, we have a little fight in terms of the revenue share and things like that.
So maybe in 3 words, what are the key 3 words? Because these guys are looking to grab something to go on with it. Yeah. Like, what are the 3 words they should have when they want to work with these guys, the telcos and the banks?
Okay, as again, you just need to have something tangible and of course to show them how can they make money. Okay. Because at the end of the day, they have a program for value-added service. That means to that telco, what value are you adding to them? So that means with my 10,000 subscribers, if you as a Vodacom or you as a telecom, if you're going to join in, I can show you we are going to have 10,000 customers. With 10,000 customers, every day at least everyone going to use 1 MB. So it's about, let's say, 10 GB in a day. So 10 GB in a day, if you convert that, you can see the money. And again, you make them, of course, being loyal in terms of using the airtime and, of course, transact through M-Pesa. So they have seen the value. And even us, since we know the numbers and everything, it was actually a bridge to convert them in terms of giving us more share. Mm-hmm. So the main thing, on the business is to understand the value of your business and then fight for it.
It looks like Mrusha want to add on something there.
Yes.
No. I want to add something.
Okay.
That's a very, very, very important thing is that is for you to understand your value in your business and how you can create value to another business. Mm-hmm. And this is where I think most of the startup, they miss because they have a very focus on themselves and not actually focusing on the value on the other side. So, for example, when we decided to partner with Smart Codes in a promotion, we looked at, we are our financial providers. We're not really good at, designing big promotion like that. So we looked at them and say, we have this concept, we have the money, and we want to make this very big, but we need for you to come up with an idea of how we can run it. So they came up with a platform of where it was very complex, but it was very successful. We managed to actually bring in about 7 billion Tanzanian shillings within 35 days. That's unprecedented. It has never been done anywhere. Yeah. So talk about numbers. So that's how much value they brought into our business. but they actually focus on creating value for us, knowing that they'll get paid later. That's very important.
So maybe to have a different context and perspective. Andrew. Okay, so Andrew is from Germany, and he runs a startup accelerator. And when you run a startup accelerator, it means you're actually building a capacity of a startup to do something great. So with your experience in Germany, what is the level of engagement between startup and the corporate sector in Germany?
I've actually never been to Germany.
Wow.
I'm a Korean immigrant to the United States. I work for a German group.
So this is very interesting. You remember the idea I told you when I was starting the day, that I'm looking to learn a visual accelerator. I've already found a person to help me do that. Okay, I'll rephrase my question in another context. So in the US now, what is the experience between the SMEs, specifically electronic businesses, that are looking to work with the corporate sector? Is it easy? It is the same story that we're hearing here.
I would say it's about the same story as here. Yeah, I'm relatively new to the whole tech world. I come from 10 years with the Department of Defense in the United States. So this is actually an all new field for me.
Yeah, so what do you think? What do you think now, if you could advise us? From your perspective now, it's kind of tricky. 10 years of experience with Department of Defense. Brother, I want to run away. It's the Department of Defense of United States. Do I have my phone? Yeah. No, I'm just making a joke. So I'll revert back to you. Let me continue to squeeze these guys. Mrusha, my question to you is, what should telcos do to understand what we do so that we can effectively collaborate with them? If you are assigned a work to consult, to advise them on how they can work with startup.
So, I mean, your question kind of comes with an assumption that they don't understand. Which
to
is
me,
not
at
correct.
least.
No, it's not correct. I mean, Edwin is here, and please help me. I don't like bragging about this stuff. But no, Airtel Africa commissioned us to scout for the best apps. Not idea, it was apps. They need to be built. Best apps in the region. So I was part of 7 people in the continent. And before he even has download, he only talked about part of the story. And I want you to mention this. Before it was even fully published on both store, App Store, Apple, Google Play, we blow them in with Airtel, and he pitched in front of all the executives what the idea is, and they understood it. In looking at what mutual benefits to be for both, maybe they didn't agree, but this was way before Vodacom jumped on board. So they do understand, but it goes back to what he was saying before. It need to be a validated idea. So maybe if they went, by the time you're coming in, you already had downloads, that would have been a whole different story. But then it was a completely new product, so it's as good as the next guy pitching the same kind of content distribution, right?
So the reason I said I think somehow they don't understand what we do, it's not because I'm guessing, it's because I've run and managed a tech hub for 5 years. You know that, huh?
And the community.
And the community. So the most important part. And I've seen startups with amazing business model, with a potential to scale. And most of the time when we approach these guys to come to listen to some of these brilliant ideas, even to attend some of the activities that we do, the hackathons, the meetup sessions, the acceleration programs, it's very difficult to get you guys on board. Let me finish. When I came back from the InfoDev Incubator training in Finland, one of the things we learned there was there was a certain project called Demola project. It was a very good project. Some of the private sector in Finland we are working with startup accelerators and incubators to solve problems in the corporate sector using R&D department of different universities in Finland. So what I mean is, Nokia will work with University of Helsinki and Helsinki think tank, which is a space, to solve some of the problem that Nokia is facing. So we copied the same model, me and Brian Paul. Brian Paul is somewhere here. It's a founder of Studio 19, the guys who have put together this amazing stage. Could you clap for Brian Paul in Studio 19? We suffered a lot to get any of the bank or telco company on board with that idea. So what I'm saying is something which I have experienced. So why do you guys think it's difficult? Eric, why is it difficult for you guys to understand us?
Okay. This is very interesting for me. Yeah? We have to agree at some point, every single organization, every single business was a startup. Yeah? Now, they grew up. And after they grew up, they started looking at risks. When you start focusing on risks, you lose your entrepreneurship spirit. So we all grew up to a point where we've lost that entrepreneurship spirit and think that now we have to look at the risk so that we can manage this business. We don't want to lose money. We are looking at all these things, yeah? So I think the key, I want to mention one thing that's very interesting for me. You know, Samsung is a group that has about 80, I think it's 80,000 or 80 businesses. And at some point, they actually invested in a company called Fubu. It's a clothing company. Anybody knows that? And Fubu was actually going under, and they invested $2 million, I think. And then after that, Fubu went up to make revenues of $6 billion. Now imagine Samsung. We know Samsung makes beautiful televisions, beautiful smartphones. But Samsung has that DNA of a startup. And that's why they can actually go out of their way and invest in a company like Fubu, which is completely outside of their, you would think, outside of their domain. So the most key important things for corporates, and this is the difference between us and any other bank, that we can work with, you know, the guys like, you know, Smart Cords, and we have other, we work with the big companies, and we actually do bring in startups. So we always want to wear that startup spirit, you know, across the bank. Okay. Yeah.
So I've kept Andrew quiet, and I don't like it. So Andrew, could you share your experience? What you guys are doing at the accelerator, at the Startup Boat Accelerator?
Well, with our accelerator and our online incubation program, we're pairing our mentors and our entrepreneurs together. As well, even if you don't have a business plan, no idea how to make one, there's people already there that can help you make that have made it, that made mistakes, and they can help push you past that. They can network you with other people who are working in the relatively same field. Instead of just stuck with this idea and you're stuck in, you don't know how to reach out, this is where we can help you the most. And in this program then, once you hit prototype phase, we can finance, we can invest into that. So that would, and that's the importance of the incubation of the hubs.
Okay, so Startup Bot, do you guys work with corporate sector, the banks, and the mobile network operators as a space, not startup now, as a space, a Startup Bot? Do you guys work with the corporate sector?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Could you share your experience with us? Because I'm trying to learn as a person from Buni Innovation Hub to try to work with Vodacom Tanzania.
I'm still trying to learn the group right now. Most everything, I'm the one connecting the dots. That's where that's how I've gotten to where I am.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't really fill you more in on that.
Oh, okay.
I'm just more of a scout.
No
and,
problem. Do I look like a judge? Okay, so just to wrap this up, Seba looks like he wants to kill me. One takeaway from everyone. So I'll start with Eric.
Yeah, I'm very happy to be here and to meet up with a lot of people from all sorts of different walks of life. I would have liked for the next Sahara Sparks, for me, is you add more regulators here and then actually have their only session. I know it's very political, but we are faced with so many challenges right now. For example, just a very simple thing. You can go to Tigo, Airtel, whatever, in their data set. And then if you try to find out to who is actually a farmer, who is a trader, and who is just a normal regular worker, just by looking at the data, you will not actually get anywhere. See, the data is there, but it's so very fragmented, and you cannot actually use it very much. So we need to build an infrastructure that can actually help us build sustainable business models that can actually give more value to these people, to the customers that we are actually serving. So it's very important to have these conversations with the regulators, the people who are actually setting the laws, so to understand. Just as an example, we were just talking about today, for startups, they need to have their own level of regulations. You cannot have a startup have to go and pay $15,000 for them to publish an app to be used. That's, it just kills your dream right there. Yeah. So I think we need to, this conversation, we need to bring the right people in terms of the regulations and the lawmakers. We need to bring them in the conversation.
The good news is that Dr. Mshinda is hearing this. So we will invite more regulators next time. Okay, Edwin?
Yeah, I'll support Eric because these regulations, it's actually sometimes kill some of the ideas. Because let's say, for example, when we start our app, M-Paper, when we was about to launch, we found out like we need to go to TCRA and get national app certificates, which is about $15,000, at which now again, they don't really have the understanding of how the digital apps works. Because we are being given a space like we are doing the radio and TV, while we are not. Because they say like, we are broadcasting the information.
Wait. I'm trying to make sense of this. So, if I'm creating an app right now, I'm putting it in an app store, whatever, Google Play or whatever. I have to pay 15,000 USD to TCRI. Could you? Please, could you make that very clear? Because we've just been putting apps. I don't want to go to jail.
Exactly. So if TCRA want to implement that law, all the startup guys here, we are going to jail.
Wow.
Yeah. So we need to have that national certificate. And then again, they have the regional and national. So we go and say like, oh, our app is just for Dar es Salaam, so please give us the regional one. And they was about to accept it. And then they found like, by the way, your app, someone in Iringa can actually read the newspaper. You understand? So it's all about trying to revise the regulation according to the way technology is changing. Right now, you have seen most of the people want to watch the news on YouTube. So somebody like, let's say, Issa Michuzi has Issa TV, Mila Dayo TV. I think last 2 months you hear like, oh, Mila Dayo TV, you need to have a TV license. So please go and close your YouTube channel. But it's YouTube channel. It's a local content. I'm trying to publish it up. So I think we'll need the regulator to try to support the startup, and of course trying to review the regulation according to where the technology is moving. That's very important.
This is very scary. This is very scary because Buni Innovation Hub 2014 was voted among the best innovation hubs in Africa in terms of submission of new apps in a Play Store. You're getting what I'm trying to say? We submitted the most apps on the Play Store, Intel portal for apps, than any other tech hub in Africa. So legally we are supposed to be locked in jail because we didn't get the permission to do that. So we really need regulators here next time. Okay, Mrusha.
So as a takeaway, there's no need to overemphasize on the regulations and lawmakers. Everything else they say, they co-sign. But it's important. One thing that we have to understand, having worn both arts, corporates, and startups, especially you young guys, millennials, you're born, you feel like you're entitled, right? You feel like you should just get it just because it's there. It's important to also sit down, get some assistance from other people in the ecosystem to start speaking the corporate language. You said something about, when we call them, they don't come to us. Sometimes we have to go to them aggressively. We'll have to go to them, right? What Engineer George Mulamula was mentioning before, the BBCs and thereafter, I feel like these two gaps, they're understanding each other. The problem is in between. Edwin kind of hinted saying you find the PR people, marketing guys, and you name it. These are the guys that are supposed to listen to Edwin when he first walks into any corporate. We keep on mentioning banks and MNOs here, but you could be disrupting on any other industry, and then it's not just tech per se, it could be other things. But because this is probably a fifth year at work, a fresh graduate, they've never run a business before. For them, it's just a job. The only thing he worries about is his next paycheck and how he impressed the boss. So if you walk in, talking about the big content, how this app is going to help Mama Mboga back at home, or how much money they're going to make out of it, if you don't help that person put it in a way that he can just forward to the boss or to the investment committee without defending it, chances are you keep getting the default answer, which is no. So it's important to understand how they think. It's important to speak their language. It's important to comply with the regulations, pay them up, because you don't want to get big time and then people start killing you.
We'll continue with this conversation afterwards. Yeah, Andrew.
So as a takeaway, I'd say being able to speak the language, me as a middleman, I did not come in the tech world from a military background, so I still have to relay back to our partners, back to our, to the director back in Germany, what you're trying to display, what you're trying to tell us or sell to us. So there's that gap right there, as well as just finding you. One of the big challenges I've had in my 3 weeks in Africa is finding the people, is finding the entrepreneurs, those hidden people that they have these dreams, they have the ideas, and they might be this breakthrough, but it's where are you at? And I spend 6 to 8 hours a day on emails and on YouTube looking for the next entrepreneur. And you need to put yourself in the hub, you need to put yourself in the accelerator programs, because that's where the corporate side, that's where us middlemen are gonna actually find you, instead of this avid just Google, YouTube search every day.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Thank you so much, Eric, Edwin, Jones, and